You're watching NASA TV.
This is Mission Control Houston. Good morning. You are getting a live look from inside of the International Space Station. Right now, 2 spacewalkers are preparing to exit the hatch to begin a planned 6.5-hour spacewalk as part of continuing upgrades to continue to upgrade the power system aboard the International Space Station. In the front of the frame to left to right is NASA astronauts Frank Rubio. In the suit with the unmarked, with no stripes, is NASA astronaut Nicole Mann. And to her right is NASA astronaut Josh Cassada. Rubio and Cassada are helping Mann, serving as EV-2 for this particular spacewalk, with the final steps before putting her into the crew lock. Right now, the 3 astronauts in the equipment lock. Behind them is another spacewalker, Koichi Wakata, wearing the suit with the red stripes already situated in the crew lock, getting ready to start today's spacewalk, perhaps a little bit early. Right now we're following the timeline ahead of schedule, and now coming to you live at the final steps of preparation of getting these 2 spacewalking astronauts ready for their expedition. For both of the spacewalkers today, for Wakata and Mann, this will be their first spacewalk. And again, Wakata is EV-1, the suit with the red stripes. Nicole Mann, the suit with no stripes. This is US Spacewalk 84, and they'll be installing mounting platforms, which are a requirement to fit the new IROSA International Space Station rollout solar arrays on a future spacewalk. These modification kits required. There are 4 that are installed already, including with IROSAs, and much of the work on the 1B power channel has already been accomplished. They really just need to do some of the final steps to really make sure that one is fully constructed and ready to receive the IROSAs later this year. And they'll be starting on the 1A power channel from scratch, taking out a modification kit and constructing it out on the 1A worksite today. This spacewalk is the 258th in support of the International Space Station assembly and maintenance and upgrades. And again, it is the first for both spacewalkers today. Cassada and Rubio serving as the suit IVs inside the Quest airlock. They're the ones not suited today, both within frame, both experienced spacewalkers at this point, now serving on the suit IV role, which is to outfit both of the spacewalkers and make sure that they are ready for their journey. Now we're losing signal from the International Space Station. We'll be seeing this incrementally throughout today's coverage as the International Space Station travels around the world now over the South Pacific Ocean. It's handing over from some of the tracking and data relay satellites. We'll be regaining some of that footage shortly. In the meantime, let's take this live view from inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room. This is a live view from here in Houston, Texas. The teams here are preparing to execute today's spacewalk, all in support roles. The teams here, of course, are led by the flight director, who takes on the lead position and listens to all that's going on here in the room. In the black suit there, heading toward the back, is Chloe Mehring. She's serving as today's flight director for the spacewalking teams. To her right is Zena Cardman. She'll be the voice that you're hearing from here in Mission Control Houston. This is the position called Ground IV. She'll be communicating all of the work that the teams here are doing, especially that of the spacewalk officer, and guiding our two spacewalkers through the intricate steps of today's 6.5-hour spacewalk. To her right is Aki Hoshide. Hoshide is a Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut, also an experienced spacewalker himself, serving as the Capcom. He'll be the person talking with the crew inside the International Space Station. Of course, work taking place both inside and out. So Cardman will be able to focus on the two spacewalking astronauts outside. The teams here are also on the back end of what's called a handover. Mission Control Houston is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they are handing over with brand new teams led by Chloe Mehring, the flight director today. Handing over from the teams prior that have been doing much of the prep work since the astronauts have gotten up from their sleep period and been preparing since that wake period for today's spacewalk. Again, everything is going ahead of schedule at this time, and the two astronauts are inside the crew lock now. Here in Mission Control Houston, of course, in the back there is Keith Johnson, the spacewalking officer. He sits in the front room and is supported by many team members in several rooms inside of this building, inside of the Mission Control Center here in Houston. But he is the person in this room that knows the procedures for today's spacewalk most intimately. In any scenario, if they were to have to make last-minute changes or even emergency procedures, they would be looking towards the guidance of Keith Johnson. Teams here have been preparing for quite some time for these spacewalks, and in fact, the spacewalk of this type has been conducted several times. The installation of 5 modification kits on the outside of the space station have taken place thus far. They'll be finishing up the work on the 5th modification kit, the one that was installed most recently on the 1B power channel. And again, they'll be starting from scratch with a brand new modification kit. They'll have it in tow with them out to the work site on the 1A power channel, and they'll be able to install that as part of today's spacewalking activities. Now getting live views back from the International Space Station. You can see both astronauts positioned inside the crew lock. It is a tight fit, so they do have to fit in there very specifically. In the back there, you see the suit with the red stripes on the thighs. That's Koichi Wakata. He'll be taking on the EV-1 role, extravehicular crew member 1, for the duration of today's spacewalk. In that position, with his head facing sort of down in this view, which is nadir, or towards the Earth, it'll be his role once the hatch between the crew lock and the equipment lock being where Josh Cassada is currently, the crew lock being where Frank Rubio and the 2 spacewalking astronauts are. They'll close the hatch in between there, and once the crew lock is depressurized, going down to vacuum to match that of the outside, it'll be Wakata who will have the ability to open up the hatch, and we'll see Wakata exit the hatch first. Of course, spacewalking really is a maintenance sort of activity. So with them in tow are a set of tools, and in fact a toolbox. You can see it sort of at the front within view of Nicole Mann, EV-2 for today. They'll be taking a lot of the equipment that's necessary for today's primary activities, of course the installation of the modification kits on the 1A and 1B power channel. But as we do with spacewalks from time to time, and in fact most of the time we have a set of secondary objectives or get-ahead tasks. Should one make sense to squeeze within the timeline, that is an option for today's spacewalk, or towards the end of the spacewalk, if they were ahead of their activities, way ahead of the planned 6.5 hours. There are some secondary objectives that they would be able to accomplish, and so they bring all of that equipment out with them. And now we're seeing, you're witnessing the final steps of preparing the two spacewalking astronauts in the crew lock. This is the hatch that separates the crew lock from the equipment lock inside the Quest Airlock module of the International Space Station. Rubio will manually close this hatch, and there are a series of cranks and knobs that need to be turned before they work with the ground teams to get a go-ahead to start the depressurization sequence. It is a lengthy sequence to depressurize the crew lock. It's got to go from about what the pressure we find here at sea level on Earth, so about 14.7 psi. That's what we're seeing now inside the crew lock. It'll go down to about 5, and the ground teams will look at the data and make sure that the depressurization looks stable, that there's no leaks, and they'll hold there at the 5 psi mark for a little bit before getting that go to proceed down to vacuum. Once the crew lock is at about 0.5 psi, is about the time that Koichi Wakata will get the go to open up the hatch, and both of them will be able to exit and start looking at their tethers, which keep them anchored to the International Space Station. That configuration is very specific to make sure that they are safely attached to the International Space Station at all times. They'll check their tether configuration, make sure they have all their tools, and then proceed out to the work site. So again, on the other side of the hatch are the two spacewalking astronauts for today, Koichi Wakata as EV-1, Nicole Mann as EV-2. Both of them are inside the crew lock, positioned and ready to go. The hatch between the equipment lock and the crew lock is closed, and Rubio and Cassida are looking over their procedures, seeing what other last-minute activities need to be done before they work with Mission Control Houston and the teams here on the ground to begin the depressurization sequence. The official start time of today's spacewalk will not be when the crew lock begins to depressurize, but just about after it's depressurized, the suits themselves by the hands of the spacewalking astronauts, they'll have the configuration.
One for procedure 1.225, 76 and 77 are complete.
And Houston copies.
Part of the procedures to get ready for the depressurization. They're going through their checklist now. They have to do certain steps to activate some of the components of the suit and some of the components of the airlock to make sure it's ready for that depressurization. One of them will be to enable the hot mics inside the suits of Man and Wakata. These hot mics are what they sound like. Basically, once they're activated, any time that Man or Okada speak, we'll be able to hear them on the space-to-ground channels. Throughout the duration of the spacewalk, they will be hot mic'd, so they don't have to press any buttons or make any commands in order to talk to the teams on the ground and, of course, to each other. For the first couple of steps for the depressurization, it'll actually be the crew inside the equipment lock. You see Rubio here, as well as Josh Cassada. It'll be them walking them through the depressurization sequence before handing it over to Zena Cardman, who's sitting here in Mission Control Houston as the ground IV. It'll be her job and her voice that you'll be hearing throughout the duration of today's spacewalk. She'll be the ones guiding Man and Wakata through today's procedures.
Houston Station on 1. Let us know when you are complete with 80.1 and let the crew know that they are hot mic, please. Thank you.
And Wilco, that is in work right now. Airlock Houston on 1, step 78, 79.
Good morning, Naki. 81 copies.
Good morning, 82 copies.
Hatch. But for now, we'll be hearing from Hoshide from here in Mission Control Houston.
The next step is going to be for you. Check, switch, depress pump, power off, OFF.
Depress pump power is off.
Copy off. Verify depress pump enable LED is on. OM.
Enable LED is on.
Okay, and from here we will proceed to the crew lock depress activity.
Say the last again.
And from here we'll be moving to the crew lock depress 2 card.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, copy that, sir.
Airlock Houston on 1, you have a go in step 84.
Copy, I copy go, and I am going to the crew lock depress 2 card with red changes.
That's a good copy.
Okay, Duke, on the UIA, switch depress pump power on.
Copy. Depress pump power is coming on. It's on.
Okay, copy. We're going to wait 10 seconds. Okay, Duke, for the next step, depress pump man ISO valve open and expect an alert tone for both of you.
Copy.
81 copies.
In work. Depress pump man ISO valve open.
Copy open, and for both of you, monitor your suit pressure gauge remains less than 5.5. Let me know if it goes above that.
81 copies.
82 copies.
And with that, the crew lock.
The next step will be at 6 PSI, and you can expect an alert tone at 6.
EV1 copy.
So with that, the crew lock is depressurizing as we speak. It's going down from 14.7 psi, about the same pressure we find here at sea level on Earth, and it's going down to about 5 psi. You heard the note from Rubio to expect an alert tone at 6. 5 is the designated hold point.
Scoring is set to 4.
And that hum you're hearing is the depressurization aboard the International Space Station. So as we're waiting for the crew lock to depressurize and get to that hold point, Rubio will continue to monitor. Let's talk about the 2 spacewalking astronauts that are on the other side of the hatch right now. Again, Koichi Bukata, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut, very experienced astronaut, but for him, as well as for Man on her first space flight, this will be the first spacewalk for both of them. It's the 258th spacewalk in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades, the 5th for Expedition 68. And we are kicking off the new year, 2023, with this as the first spacewalk. Wakata, of course, is the 5th Japanese astronaut to conduct a spacewalk. They are, of course, the 2 spacewalking astronauts, but it takes more than 2 to tango for this kind of operation. So there's a plethora of support here on the ground as well as in orbit. On the far right, you see Frank Rubio and Josh Cassada as the suit IVs, the spacewalking support from inside the crew lock. We've been seeing them quite a bit from inside the International Space Station. But here on the ground, there are a lot of support personnel, but calling out namely Chloe Maring as the flight director, leading all of the teams here in Mission Control Houston. Keith Johnson knows the spacewalking procedures most intimately here in the room and works with support teams here in Mission Control Houston in other rooms. And it'll be Zena Cardman, who is a NASA astronaut, as well as today's ground IV, or the spacewalk communicator. It'll be her voice that's taking all of the information from inside of this room and compiling it to speak with both Wakata and Man throughout the duration of today's spacewalk. You can see the number of personnel that are here supporting the operation, everyone watching as the crew lock continues to depressurize. Really, we're just waiting and monitoring to see how that depressurization goes. To that hold point, you can hear those natural tones that are coming from the mics aboard the International Space Station now as we continue to monitor that depressurization. We're going towards 5 psi once again, and at 5 psi, we're going to hold for just a little bit, monitor the swings and to see if there are any significant indications of any leaks or anything like that. But if everything looks good, then we'll continue down to vacuum. But right now we're proceeding towards that 5 psi hold point. So the depressurization is a very slow process. Of course, it is for safety reasons to make sure that the depressurization is being carefully monitored, and there's no adverse health effects as well for going down to vacuum very, very quickly. Right now we're a little less than 8 pounds per square inch. We're closing in on where we may hear an alert tone through the space to ground channels at the 6 psi mark, and then we're heading towards 5 as the holding period. Inside the Quest Airlock's equipment lock, that's on the side closest to us from the hatch. On the other side of the hatch, of course, are the two spacewalking astronauts. Currently, that section of the airlock, the crew lock, is being depressurized. But on this side, Rubio is monitoring the procedures. He's only got a few left that he has to oversee as the spacewalk support role from inside the International Space Station. Really just these last couple of steps to make sure that they're ready before he formally hands over the support role of talking with the crew, with Mann and Wakata, the spacewalking astronauts. He'll hand that role over to Zena Cardman here in Mission Control Houston.
Going, Duke?
Good, how are you?
Good, yeah. You sound a little different now.
Very loud, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Duke, take the defense pump, man, ISO valves are closed.
Press pump, my nozzle valve is closed.
Okay, and you can both expect an alert tone.
Copy.
Okay, next we will be conducting a leak check. For this, both of you will take your display status until leak check question mark is displayed. Then you'll select that with a 2-second yes hold.
81 copies, in work.
82 copies, in work.
Once you've selected it with a long yes, then just follow the displayed instructions.
81 copy.
V2 is in leak check wait.
81 leak check wait. Leak check complete.
EV2 leak check complete.
Okay, copy for both. Great job.
Setting the actuator to EV in work.
In work for EV2.
Copy, that'll be your next step. O2 actuator to EVA.
Okay. EV1 O2 actuator is in EVA.
O2 actuator, EVA.
Okay, great job by both of you. Duke, you'll take the T-plus pump and ISO valve open. Both of you expect an alert tone.
Copy.
In work. T-plus pump and ISO valve open.
Copy. Koichi, you'll take the EV hatch MPEG to open.
EV hatch MPEG coming open. The valve is open.
Copy, open.
For those following along, Rubio just walked the crew through the
Okay guys, starting at 2 psi, Koichi, you're going to report the EV hatch gauge, and Duke, you'll report the MVAR readings at the intervals that I'll give you.
EV1 copy.
EV2 copies.
So for those following along, the crew lock was depressurized to 5 psi. They held for a bit to check to make sure there was no leaks. The hold at 5 psi looked good. So now the crew lock is continuing to depressurize. Right now we're under 4 psi down to vacuum. Rubio only has a couple more steps left to make sure these guys are ready to go out the hatch before handing it over to Zena Cardman here in Mission Control Houston, who will take over the role of communicating with the 2 spacewalking astronauts and guiding them through their procedures for the 6.5-hour planned spacewalk today.
I just wanted to report the hatch PSID gauge is showing approximately 6 and no change.
Okay, I understand. 6 with no change. Thanks, Koichi. We do see the pressure dropping on the PCS.
Copy. still the gauge is showing little less than 6, but not much of a change.
Okay, we copy Koichi, and we're showing just above 2.0 psi.
Copy that.
Part of the role of Rubio and Casada is helping the 2 spacewalking astronauts through their procedures. You can see on the iPad there he has in front of him, Rubio is communicating with the 2 astronauts by way of that wired handheld microphone into the microphones that are attached to the helmets inside the crew airlock, the EMUs, the spacewalk, the spacesuits that they have on. His job is to monitor and walk them through those procedures. The ground teams, of course, are listening to the communication throughout and following along. Teams, of course, are listening to all the data, making decisions as to what is the best course of action.
Make the hatch and embed readings.
Okay, hatch reading is about 3.5.
Embed is 105.
And I copy 3.5 and 105 millimeters of mercury. When I ask for the next pressure, you will also be taking the depress pump and ISO valve to close.
82 copies.
As we mentioned before, we'll likely have these intermittent interruptions of video from the International Space Station as the orbiting complex continues to circle the Earth. Right now, we're over Central Africa, heading on a northeastern track in an orbital daytime. Right now handing over between some of the tracking and data relay satellites you see as icons there on the equator of this map.
It shows about 2.
Okay. Copy, Koichi. Thank you.
We're still getting some audio over the space-to-ground networks, which is good. We'll be regaining video shortly. In the meantime, the flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston are receiving data from the International Space Station by way of S-band communication that we're getting from the tracking and data relay satellites. Right now it looks like the crew lock is down to just below 1.5 psi. It is much slower, the progression, from 5 to vacuum versus from 14.7 to 5. It's very methodical down to vacuum, so they can monitor every step of the way, and of course ground teams here are monitoring as well. During the down period though, Casada does have an opportunity to show off some of the microgravity skills you see with the pen in front of him.
Okay, guys, I show 1.2. Depress pump, man ISO valve is closed, and then I'll take your pressures.
Okay. Gauge shows approximately 1.2.
Okay, depress pump, man ISO valve is closed, and I showed 6.2.
I copy 1.2 and 6.2, and depress pump, man ISO valve is closed. Thank you. And Duke, you can now take the depress pump power switch off.
Depress pump power is off.
Copy, thanks, Duke. The next pressure we'll be looking for is 1.0 psi. That should be coming up shortly.
Okay, copy.
Rubio and Casada in the equipment lock, continuing to monitor the depressurization. We are closing in on 1 psi and just got about a half a pound of square inch of pressure to go. The rate itself has slowed down significantly, but once we reach that 8.5 psi. Rubio just has a couple of more procedures before handing it over to Cardman here on the ground to walk the astronauts through their tether configuration and get the hatch open to get started with the spacewalk very soon. The spacewalk itself, though, is part of a series. We've had a lot of spacewalks just like this to upgrade the power systems of the International Space Station, and we've conducted several so far. Here is the plan as we have it today. You can see on the far right in blue, the 4B, 3A, 4A, and 2B channels have IROSA solar arrays installed and operational. So that's 4 new arrays. The spacewalking astronauts today will be working on the 1A and 1B power channels. On 1B, they already have the mounting platform installed on the mass canister.
I'll take the hatch and then readings.
Okay, hatch shows 1.0.
And they shows 50.
Copy 1.0 and 50. And as we wait for the next pressure, which will be 0.8, you guys can give your initial tether config to Zoom.
Copy.
You heard that.
Okay, Rena, good morning. Ready for the tether config?
Good morning, EV1 and EV2. I am with you and ready.
All right. Okay, I will start with my waist tether small hook. It attached to my left steering extender, gate closed, hook locked. And the left waist tether slash hook is attached to Duke's anchor hook on both hooks, gate closed, hook locked, lock on black. And my red hook is attached to my left steering extender, gate closed, hook locked. The yellow hook is attached to my green reel, gate closed, hook locked. And the green hook is attached to my red reel, gate closed, hook is unlocked. And the anchor hook is attached to my mini workstation, and both reels are in unlocked. With EV1 tether config report complete.
Koichi, copy all. That is a good config. We are also expecting your right waist tether, but that's not part of the load path to EV2.
Okay, copy that. And right waist tether. Small hook is attached to my right steering extender, gate closed, hook locked. And the big hook is attached to my mini workstation.
Copy all, Koichi. That's a great config for you. And Duke, when you're ready, we'll take yours as well.
Okay, starting on my left side, I have a left waist tether attached to my left D-ring extender, gates closed, sliders locked, block on black. The large hook is to my mini workstation. My red hook is attached to my left D-ring extender. Gates closed, sliders locked, block on black. The large hook is to my mini workstation. My red hook is attached to my left D-ring extender. gates closed, sliders locked, black on black. The large hook is to my mini workstation. My red hook is attached to my left D-ring extender. Okay, and for EV2, both reels are unlocked.
Okay, EV1 and EV2, that is a good config for you both. We're continuing with the depress. And Frank, you'll still own the PCS pressures. I'll be ready to step in at step 12.
Copy, Gina, thank you.
And Xenon for EV2, my TTD is back at 4.
Copy 4 for you, Duke.
The voice you're hearing from Mission Control Houston is that of Zena Cardman, NASA astronaut. She's walking the astronauts through the first of their procedures before they open up the hatches to check their tether configuration. Spacewalkers are attached to the International Space Station at all times by way of tether. And so the very first thing that they do before they exit the hatch is to make sure that all of the tethers that keep them anchored to the International Space Station look good. So before they exit out the hatch, they know they will be anchored to the space station, and they reels are configured such that they can easily translate or move out to their workplace, which is on the starboard side of the International Space Station.
0.8.
Okay, copy, Luigi. We are almost there for ours. I'll ask for it again here shortly.
Copy.
Okay, I show 0.8.
Okay, head gauge still shows 0.8.
And day shows 39.
Copy, 0.8 and 39, thank you. Next pressure will be 0.6.
Copy.
Airlock Houston on 1, we've been monitoring the rate, and it looks like it is about what we expected, so we expect 45 minutes for the depress test.
Copy.
And EV2 has a suit P high, although my gauge is reading 4.6. CM also says O2 rate 0.3 and SOP rate 0.
Duke, we copy that. That's normal and expected in this configuration. You can acknowledge it and it will go away.
We're continuing to stand by and monitor the methodical depressurization from 5 pounds per square inch down to vacuum. The goal, though, is about a half a psi. Right at that marker, they'll start going through procedures to get ready to open up the hatch. It doesn't necessarily need to go down to 0.0. 0.5 is the target. So we've got a couple more minutes until we get down to that spot. But in the meantime, Frank Rubio and Josh Cassidy, you see in the equipment lock, they're going to see this all the way through until Zena Cartman takes over, and then they'll be able to go about their work day while Mann and Wakata go outside the International Space Station to work on the mounting platforms for future IROSAs. Throughout today's spacewalk, you'll hear, it seems, they'll be referring to EV-1 Koichi Wakata as Koichi, and EV-2 Nicole Mann as Duke, her call sign Duke. So if you hear Duke on the space-to-ground networks, that's referring to NASA astronaut Nicole Mann, you see there on the right, serving as EV-2. She'll be wearing the suit with no stripes, and then Wakata with the suit with the red stripes. Again, these are part of a grander plan of augmenting the station's solar arrays with new solar arrays and generating much more power to continue life and research aboard the International Space Station. 4 have been installed already. You see the power channels marked in blue. They all have power channels. And then the 2 spacewalking astronauts will be working on the 1B and 1A power channels. 1B already has the mounting platform installed. It just has a couple more steps to consider that ready to go, including working on collars and cables. That's expected to just take the first hour once they get out to the work site of the first hour of Koichi Wakata's procedures. Nicole Mann, though, won't join him at the 1B power channel. She'll go right over to 1A and start getting that work site prepped because that's where the 2 spacewalking astronauts will spend the most of their time. They'll be over at the 1A power channel completely constructing the mounting platform and installing it to something called a mast canister. These are sort of soda can shaped structures that deployed the original legacy solar arrays. This mounting platform is really just a modification to allow the new IROSA solar arrays to sit nicely on that top mounting bracket. The solar arrays themselves sort of fold out. They're folded kind of in half in order to fit inside the SpaceX Dragon for delivery to the International Space Station, which on this graphic is at the very top of the International Space Station. It's retrieved by a robotic arm and then brought out to the work sites for astronauts to install at a later date. We're looking at the summer for this year for the new solar arrays for the 1B and 1A power channels to come up and be installed. But for now, we're doing all the prep work. So Mann and Wakata will be working on those 1B and 1A power channels ahead of the solar array's arrival. There are a few get-aheads as well, just in case they get ahead of the timeline. There's a budgeted 6.5 hours, but they'll be the teams here on the ground will continue to monitor consumables and other factors to decide whether or not they want to do some of these get-ahead tasks. You see there's a jumper installed. There's a tool that's on the special purpose dexterous manipulator, one of the robotic arms on the outside of the space station that they're going to retrieve and bring back into the airlock for so they can bring it down for refurbishment, so they can maybe have time to get one of those tools. And then there's a couple of other items that the spacewalkers may be able to get to. They can be put at the end of the timeline. There also are opportunities for the astronauts to do it sometime in the middle of their timeline. That's where Spacewalk Officer Keith Johnson really comes into play here in Mission Control Houston. He's looking at these procedures. He'll be working with his teams to recommend the best course of action. Of course, Chloe Mehring, the flight director here in Mission Control Houston, has the ultimate say as to whether or not they proceed with that, and then it'll be the voice of Zena Cardman here to communicate that up to the crew. But here's Keith Johnson. He's sitting in the back of the room. He is the sort of front room person. He's got a whole support team behind him that are looking at the procedures and making these recommendations, all with their own specialties. But it is his recommendation that Flight Director Chloe Mehring will be relying on. Next to Flight Director Chloe Mehring is another Flight Director, Anthony Varya, monitoring today's tasks as well. They're seated at the Flight Director console, and of course, to their right, there's Zena Cardman. It'll be her voice. That'll be the ground IV, the voice from here in Mission Control Houston, up to the two spacewalking astronauts. We did hear a little bit of Aki Hoshide to her right, to Cardman's right. He'll be here in the room as well. We won't hear his voice as much because it's his job to be the Capcom for the astronauts that are on the inside of the International Space Station. Of course, Cassada and Rubio now helping out the two spacewalking astronauts to get them sort of out the door, but they have a whole day themselves of activities, so they'll be talking with Aki Hoshide on the inside. Today, though, we'll be following the intricate steps of today's spacewalk, still monitoring the depressurization. It is a methodical and slow procedure, so we're very patiently waiting for that 5 PSR mark. We still got about a little more than 1 PSI to go. We're sitting at about 0.65 PSI, so a couple more minutes until that's down, and then we'll hear the next steps to get these two spacewalkers out the door.
EVA has changed the TCV setting from 5 to 6.
Copy. TCV 6, Koichi.
Airlock Houston on 1 for the depress test. It's taking a little longer than what we expected, so we'll get a last reading at this point, and then after that is complete, we'll take the EMER and BEV to open, in addition to leaving the EV hatch and BEV open. How copy?
EVA copies.
EV2 copies.
And IV copies.
And their reading is 28.
And the gauge reading is 0.7.
Okay, I copy both, and we are just slightly above all pressure. I'll let you know shortly.
And Frank, we'll take your PCS reading right now, and then.
Okay, Aki, I am showing 32.3.
Okay, copy that, and then, yeah, you're doing it, so it's an action for you to open the emergency MBEV.
Okay, emergency MBEV coming over. Emergency MBEV open.
Yes, and copy.
for those following along, we are monitoring the depressurization. If for those who are familiar with the depressurization prior to a spacewalk, right now this is what they're undergoing is sort of a new way, a test way of depressurizing for the future. So the emergency MPEV is a hatch, but it is we're not in an emergency by any means. This is just a new approach to that they're testing out for this particular spacewalk.
Rocky, just to clarify, do you still want me to call less than 0.5?
And negative on that, Frank.
Okay, copy, thanks. All right, so I think with that completes our duties as IV. Koichi and Duke, good luck. You guys are going to kill it out there. I'll be back in.
Great. Thank you, Frank and Josh.
Josh and Frank, thanks so much. You guys are awesome. See you in a bit. Look, I'm going to turn on my right shoulder a little bit to give you some more room for the hatch. Do you feel like you're in a good position when it's done?
Okay, great.
And if you need me to hold your feet, just let me know.
Okay. I think it's good now.
Okay.
Yep.
And Frank, before you go,
Okay.
once the crew lock is at approximately DPDT 0, you are going to close the EMER hatch MPEV, the EMER MPEV, and Koichi will be closing the EV hatch MPEV.
Yep, appreciate it. We're not going anywhere. We're going to watch these guys exit out that hatch.
I figured.
Yeah, Messina, EV copy. That's after we open the hatch, is that right? To close the EV inlet.
So again, Koichi?
Okay, so after hatch open, I close the EV inlet valve, correct?
That is correct, Koichi.
Okay, copy that.
Right now inside the crew lock, the two spacewalking astronauts are on the other side of that hatch. That's the crew lock. They're facing opposite directions, so it's actually Koichi Wakata, the EV-1 position with the red stripes.
And a reminder for crew, when the crew lock DPDT is approximately 0, you can expect an alert tone.
EV copy.
EV2 copy.
Okay, crew, we show you less than 0.5 psi. You are go to open and stow the EV hatch. Koichi, you'll then close the EV hatch MPEV, and Frank, you'll close the emergency MPEV.
EV1 copy.
IV copies.
Hey, Duke, I'm gonna slide down a little bit.
Okay.
You're getting a look at the outside of the International Space Station now. The International Space Station in orbital nighttime, so it's being illuminated by the lights outside. Right now we're zoomed in on the hatch. The thermal cover is still covering the hatch, but we did get confirmation the hatch itself is open. Again, the official start time of the spacewalk does not occur until the astronauts switch to battery power.
Excuse me, I misspoke. It was EVA-84 is closed now. And the hatch is open.
Okay, copy. EV hatch is open and stowed, and the EV hatch MPEV is closed.
That's a good feedback.
And the emergency MPEV is also closed.
Okay, copy. Emergency hatch MPEV is okay. Copy. All right, emergency hatch EV1 and EV2 on your DCM. All right, with switch power to BAT. EV1 and EV2 on your DCM. Switch power to BAT. Stagger your switch throws and expect a warning tone.
Okay, EV1 copies in work.
EV2 copies in work.
Run a battery.
EV2 battery.
Copy. EV1 and 2 are in battery. Switch your display to Pro to verify a functional display.
EV1 verified functional display.
EV2 functional display.
Copy. On the UIA, switch power for EV1 and 2 off, and check that the LEDs for EV1 and 2, that's 4 LEDs total, are off.
In work. Power for EV1 and 2 is off, LEDs off.
Copy. Disconnect your SCU from your DCM and install the DCM in its cover.
EV1 copies in work.
In work.
All right, with that, the two spacewalkers have switched their spacesuit powers to battery. That marks the official start for today's spacewalk. We got a clock up on the board, and so we're looking at 7:14 a.m. Central Time for the official start of today's spacewalk.
EV1 SCU is detached in the security in the pouch.
EV2 disconnected and stowed.
Okay, copy. Your SCUs are disconnected and stowed, and make sure you have your DCM cover installed.
EV1 DCM cover installed.
EV2 DCM cover is installed.
Check depress pump man ISO valve closed.
Depress pump man ISO valve closed.
Set your temperature control valve to max hot.
EV1 in work.
EV2 in work.
EV1 TCD max hot.
EV2 TCD max hot.
Copy. copy 1 and 2. Switch water on.
EV1, switch water on.
EV2, water's on.
Check DCM blank and Vite is off.
EV1 verified.
EV2, verified.
Set your temperature control valve as desired. Report to MCC and reminder to report all subsequent TCV changes.
EV1 copy. EV1 TCV 5.
EV2, TCV 4.
Okay, copy 5 and 4. Report your suit P gauge to MCC.
EV1 CP gauge 4.3.
EV2, 4.3.
Copy 4.3 for both of you. Set your visors as required. You'll be coming out into a night pass.
EV1 copy.
EV2.
Okay, crew, with that, you are ready to open the hatch thermal cover. Koichi, you'll release the hook from the magnetic plate D-ring, attach the hook to the stowage tether point, and cinch the strap until it's snug with 6 lines visible.
EV1 in work.
Wakata now pushing the fabric thermal cover that's on the outside of the Kulak's hatch. You can see him pushing that sort of out of the way. The hatch is open. All the steps that they've been doing up to this point is really the closeout procedures for everything they've been working on for the depressurization, getting their suits ready. They've already checked their tethers. Right now, they'll push open the thermal hatch and they'll exit one at a time. Wakata first, since he's the one.
To the stowage tether point, and I see 6 lights visible.
Copy, Koichi. Koichi, you are go to egress the airlock. Once you've egressed, turn on your Heka. Duke, for you, you'll be retrieving the cable bag and prepping it to pass to Koichi once he's out.
Thermal cover is open. Wakata now exiting the hatch. The Heka that was mentioned is the high-definition camera that's mounted on the spacesuit's helmet. Wakata out the hatch. You can see when following along throughout the spacewalk, you'll be able to notice him by the suit with the red stripes. Nicole Mann, call sign Duke. She'll be coming out afterwards. Both of them will do a tether configuration check once again. They already did one inside the hatch. They'll do it again outside. Configure their suits and make sure they have all the materials needed before they translate out.
When you're ready.
Okay, stand by. I'm going to turn on the Tether on, okay?
Copy,
And I'm local. You can give, okay? And you can give me the cable bag. Okay, I see that. Okay, let me grab that.
These silver reels you see floating in front of EV-1, Koichi Wakata, with the red stripes. Those are the tethers that I mentioned. They'll be doing a tether check once both of them are outside the hatch, and you can sort of see Duke, EV-2, Nicole Mann, exiting the hatch after Wakata. They are in a night pass right now, although very soon they'll be seeing an orbital sunrise.
In the BRT to the cable bag, I'm going to release the red.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, how's the red?
Okay, you got it.
Duke, you'll stow that RET on the airlock D-ring extender, and when you're ready, you can transfer the strut bag out to EV-1.
Red is stowed to airlock D-ring extender.
Okay, Duke, I'm ready to receive it.
Okay, I'm positioning the strut bag like we talked about.
Okay, so I'm going to come in a little bit to pull it out.
Okay, I've got it in the corner,
Okay,
and I'm trying to get the bottom end towards you.
all right. Let me come in a little bit to grab it.
Okay.
It's still... Can you pitch it down towards the hatch?
Okay.
Towards me. Yeah, you need to go a little bit down the starboard side because it's kind of a hang up on the hatch. Okay, that's now clear. You can...
Is a archer.
Right. That's a good direction, orientation.
Okay, stand by. There's a little tangle here.
Okay.
So I think it's the red from the cable bag,
Yeah.
and I'm going to show my left side, see if you can see it there.
Okay, let me
I
check.
think it got caught on my...
Okay, wait, let's see, let me check that. The VH. Got it. Okay, on your,
Okay, you see the red from the cable bag? It's from the D-ring extender up to the top of the crew lock.
it is clear.
Clear? Okay.
But, okay, so let me kind of attach this bed because it's going through your giving extender. Could you come down a little bit?
Yep.
A bit closer to, yep, for you. Yep. Yep. Good direction, and then,
Okay, I'm going to move that red to the
so let me,
UIA because it's going to interfere, I think, with the cable bag, so I'm going to move it from the airlock D-ring extender
okay.
to here.
You want me to release this red?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, it's going,
And you can hand it to me.
okay. There you go.
Got it? And then when I get it, let's double check it's clear.
Yeah. Now I think I think it's, now it's clear. You see that?
see it's clear, but it's going.
Yeah, going through the
cable bag.
I don't think it's going through the. Is it going through the cable bag? I cannot see that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going through the cable bag.
But, it's going through my station tether, and it's hung up on the cable bag. I'm going to release it again.
Yeah. And then
And I'm just going to release it and let it go back to the hook.
Yeah, I think it's good.
I'll grab it when we come back.
Right, yeah, I think it's good.
Okay,
now it's clear. All right.
Okay.
So then you can get the strut bag. Yep.
Strut bag, sorry.
Okay, I'll push it in. Right. And then.
Okay.
All right.
I am all the way towards the hatch here.
Okay. Let me go in a little bit to grab it.
And I'll try to bring it down at you. Going down.
A little more. Come down. Yeah, I grabbed the wrong side of the strut bag.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull it out. My neck is a pitch. And then.
Okay, that looks like it's coming nicely.
Okay, yeah, it's coming nicely.
Okay, it's looking good.
Okay, looking good. Okay, I continue to pull it out. Okay. Okay,
Looking clear.
now, yeah, it's clear. It's coming out nicely.
All of this work that you're seeing right now is Wakata and Man, or call sign Duke, working together to get this very long bag out of the crew lock. This is really, of all the tools they're going to be bringing out to the work site, this is the star of the show. That bag contains the modification kit, flattened with all of the pieces necessary for them to construct it. Right now, this is a picture from a previous strut with an open bag. You can see all of the different components. Today, we'll be working on taking this and turning it into the fully constructed modification kit on the 1A channel. This is a very important piece of equipment that's going to be making its way with the astronauts. They're going to attach it to themselves as they move out to the work site today.
On the top handrail of the crew lock.
Copy that. All right, and it's clear. You can come out.
Okay.
Houston's following along, and we like the plan for that ret as well. You can leave it where it is.
Okay.
Great problem solving there, guys. Looking good.
Awesome.
Okay, DT is coming out.
Okay, and the strut bag is to your left, and you can just come down straight down.
Okay, I'm going to go at station aft.
Okay, copy that. I'll move the strut bag a little bit more to the port side, starboard side, port side. All right, should be clear now.
Okay, I've got a local down.
Okay, looks good.
Okay, I'm going to get out, I'll turn on my,
Echo.
okay, then I'll get the,
Roger that. Strut bag.
oh,
Okay. I see it on.
Okay.
You gonna BRT?
Yeah, I'm going to work on my BRT.
Copy.
BRT is the body restraint tether for Duke, with no stripes. She'll be attaching that strut bag to her body restraint tether. Attached to Koichi is a bag full of cables. On his way over to the 1B worksite, he's going to stop along the way and temporarily stow that bag full of cables for work later on, while Man, or Duke, has the job of taking that strut bag over to the 1A channel. What you'll hear when they talk to each other, they'll be doing buddy checks and saying how each other's spacesuit looks and reporting that to each other. They do have some procedures to make sure all of their suit components are in a good spot before they actually translate or move over.
The sun is coming up. I'm going to get my visor down.
Yeah, my visor's down too.
But these procedures are all about communication.
Houston copies, and once you've got your visor...
International Space Station is over the South Pacific Ocean right now. We're entering into an orbital daytime, so you're seeing the sun rise over the horizon of the Earth right now.
Quick, you stand by. I got to
Yeah, right. Yeah, take your time, right. Okay, but your umbilical is yeah, now it's clear. Okay, now
it's out of the pouch still?
Yeah, now it should be clear.
Let me get it back in the pouch still.
Okay, I'll work on it. And why don't you do the BFT up there? Short bag, I will give it for you in a pouch.
And thank you, crew. We appreciate you taking care of the SCU. It does need to go back in its pouch. We appreciate it.
Okay, copy that. Then, striped SCU is now back in the airlock.
Great work. Thanks for taking care of that.
Okay. No problem. All right, Duke. Okay, looks good.
I got it released from the airlock, and I got the other adjustable on me.
Yep.
So I'm going to put it in the jaws now.
Roger that. I can hold it here.
And you could say that saw line is because of my head.
Towards your head, yeah. The tape towards your head. That's a good orientation.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay, so could you move up your camera a little bit up so that I can see the mini workstation tab up?
Yep.
I can see that. Just a moment. Okay, I see two mini workstation tabs are up. VIP tab is up. And I see HECA green LED on, WBS green and LED on. And I see both spacer handles. Let me check that the left side is down. Yeah, both safer handles are down. And I don't. Tools are good, and tether is good. Okay. You check.
Okay, I see your green HECA, your green WBS, your lights are on, that looks good. I've got 1, 2, 3 tabs up on your mini workstation. We'll look at your handles.
Okay.
Okay, you've got 1 and 2 safer handles are down.
Okay.
I see your safety tether, looks like in a good config in the VOT.
Okay. Copy that. See, now with that, we're complete with the body check.
Okay, crew, we'll take a baseline HAP from both of you.
Waving on the happy dry.
And HAP is a baseline for EV.
Okay, copy. Good baseline HAP for both of you. You can take a couple minutes here to do some translation adaptation. So play around with your body, rotation, pitch, yaw, roll, various hand grips, translation without rotation, and try attaching a local tether and releasing both hands. Just a reminder, this first hour will set your MEDOX for the rest of the EVA, so just take it nice and deliberate. Take it easy.
Zero copies.
Copy.
Getting some wonderful views from the outside of the International Space Station right now. The duo are just at the beginning of their planned 6.5-hour spacewalk. They're getting a sunrise over the South Pacific Ocean, and we're getting great high-definition views from their helmet cameras right now. They just finished performing buddy checks, and you heard the ground dive Zena Cartman telling them to take their time. Of course, they have done plenty of spacewalk training, including here on the ground. There's a laboratory called the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory where they practice these things underwater. It is a very good analog for understanding what it's like in the microgravity environment, but the two of them now are first-time spacewalkers, so they're going to take some time on the outside of the hatch to just get used to understanding the differences between performing the spacewalk in a pool with the resistance of water and having no resistance in the vacuum of space. Their translation path or their movement out to the work site is all the way out on the wings of the International Space Station on the solar arrays. So they do have quite a bit of translation to go to, so they're just sort of getting their bearings, making sure they understand their movements before they make that journey. And once again, we have another increment gap in communication from the International Space Station. We mentioned being over the South Pacific Ocean at this time. Throughout today's spacewalk, we'll see gaps like these. The space station communicates by way of geosynchronous satellites called the Egress network, tracking and data relay satellites. We'll get intermittent gaps of audio and video. Sometimes we regain the audio a little bit earlier. Just as now you're hearing the audio come from the International Space Station, so we'll be regaining that shortly. Teams here in Mission Control Houston are monitoring today's spacewalk, as well as the International Space Station and the crew inside. It'll be the teams here that are walking our astronauts through today's procedures. Zena Cartman, you see in the middle there, with the black blazer and the white shirt, that is NASA astronaut Zena Cartman, ground dive. It's her voice that's being communicated from all the work that the teams are doing here in Mission Control Houston. She's translating that up to the crew.
Some awesome view here.
And standby one, Koichi, we're actually checking on the SEUs in the airlock.
Okay.
We're having the IV crew check on that through the hatch window.
Okay.
Koichi, just for your awareness, on your left side, your tethers are over the top of the VOC. It's going to be a problem just when you, after you get that bag off. It's going to...
Yes, I understand that. Yeah, okay. I see that. Thanks. That's a good check.
Your tethers in the way.
Good.
Okay, crew, we're back with you. We did see one of the SUs came out of its pouch, but we are actually good with that as long as the thermal cover is tended closed. And so with that, you can go ahead and start translating. EV1, you'll be translating out to the anchor hooks that are nadir of the starboard seating arch. Duke, if you can tend the hatch thermal cover closed, that's very helpful. Continue your translation adaptation.
Okay, thermal covers tended closed.
EV1 copy. Start translating.
And the journey begins now that they've done all that they can on the outside of the airlock's hatch, getting all of their tools, attaching it to their body restraint tether, making sure their tethers are in a good configuration, sort of doing an adaptation. Now we're following Koichi Wakata with the high-definition camera, and he's translating or moving out to the work site, so he's going to begin his journey now.
EV1 copy.
You guys are looking great, and just a reminder as you translate to also keep your cable bags and strap bags in your scan so that they don't hit anything either.
EV1 copy.
Future copy.
For those just tuning in, we're following along by way of the helmet camera of Koichi Wakata. They've exited the hatch and started their spacewalk officially at 7:14 a.m. Central Time. Did some buddy checks and made sure they had all their tools attached to them. You can see there, attached to his body restraint tether, Koichi Wakata has a cable bag in tow. Right now he's heading over to the S4 truss section of the truss. He's going to leave that cable bag there and then go to the 1B work site. They're splitting up to begin with. Koichi Wakata is going to drop off that bag and then finish up tightening some bolts on the fully constructed mounting platform that's on the 1B truss. He's just got to use that pistol grip tool, or basically a cordless drill, to tighten some bolts. Not much work there. It's really just going to take the first hour of his task. While Nicole Mann, by call sign Duke, will be hearing that over Space to Ground today. She's going to go over to directly to the 1A worksite with the strut bag in tow. That strut bag has the mounting platform itself in it, so she'll begin the construction there while Koichi Wakata finishes up the construction on the 1B site. And then for the remainder of today's spacewalk, the two will focus on working together to construct that mounting platform on the 1A channel.
Looking good, Koichi. You'll be keeping eyes out for S3 handrail 3011 for your exit.
Copy that. I see that here.
In the middle of the frame there, you can see a digital camera. The lens is the thing that makes it the most apparent, but it's covered with insulation to protect it from the thermal environment outside the International Space Station. So Koichi Wakata will be able to take some photos, both for engineering purposes to show the work that they're doing, as well as take some beautiful photos of Earth and of the work outside.
Copy, Koichi. And that's S1 handrail 3217. That's to accept the hook.
hook is attached to F1 3217, gate closed, hook locked, and Duke, we have a go to release your waste tether from the airlock unit center.
Copy. Inward.
Houston copies, looking good.
Beacon's waste tether is released from the airlock D-ring extender. Thermal cover is closed.
We copy. Release from the airlock D-ring extender and thermal cover closed. With that, you can start translating Duke out to the 1 Alpha work site. You just take it slow and easy, and before you cross the Sarge, check that your gauntlets are in place. And same for you, Koichi, as you head out to S4. Make sure that your gauntlets are in place before you cross the Sarge.
Copy that. Gauntlets are in place. I'm going to go to the full work site.
Perfect. From phase 1, you'll be trending zenith to the non-radiator edge, looking for S4 handrail 2219 when you get out there.
Copy that. 2219. Okay, safety tethers in good config.
You guys are looking good. Koichi will have to just continue to take it nice and slow and easy. Make sure we keep your MEDOX trending average for the rest of the EVA.
Copy that.
Okay, EV2 is coming up the toolboxes.
Copy, Duke.
For those following along, you're seeing a split screen here from the high-definition helmet cameras on both of our spacewalkers today. Koichi Wakata making his way out to the 1B channel. He's going to stop along the way, and he's got a cable bag in tow on his body restraint tether. And has some of the cables for some of the secondary work as well as GoPros, some of the other tools and materials that they need for the non-primary work that they're doing, while Nicole Mann, or call sign Duke, has the strut bag. That's the primary thing that they're doing. Nicole Mann just finished up her work. That she had to make sure the thermal cover on the EVA hatch was closed and make sure there's no thermal fluctuation inside of the crew lock where they just exited to begin today's spacewalk. Both of them now translating or moving out to their respective work sites. Now we're getting high-definition views. This is Nicole Mann, call sign Duke. She's wearing the suit with no stripes, and she's got that giant bag with her. That's the strut bag that has the mounting platform that they're going to be installing today. Both of them will be working on the 1A channel. Koichi Wakata's got to make a stop first to work on the 1B, but Nicole Mann's going to get started right away, so she's got that bag in tow. She'll be able to unbuckle some of the straps that are holding those components in place, retrieve some of the materials, and they'll be installing it one at a time. The ground teams have plenty of experience with this type of work. This will be the 6th modification kit, the 6th time that we've used these struts to attach to a mast canister, so they're prepared for any of issues or troubleshooting they need to do along the way, and that work will be being done soon. Right now we're just watching the translation or the movement.
Stand by, Koichi. You'll need to actually backtrack just a little bit. Let me give you a good handrail pass.
Okay. Okay, so come down a little bit, and then
Koichi, you're doing a good thing. You can head outboard from there. That was a good move going towards your feet.
okay, 2219 is what I have. So I keep going.
That's perfect. You'll be pausing here to stow the cable bag. So this is the inboard non-radiator corner. So that will be on handrails 2219 and 2215 using integral tethers with the handrail toward the radiator.
Okay. Okay, copy that. I see them. Actually, that was really close.
Koichi, I'm coming underneath the MT.
Okay, copy that. I'm at the pedestal location of the cable bag. So, Zena, the pedestal orientation is the handrail away from the towards the radiator side, is that right?
That's correct. The handrail toward the radiator. And Koichi, we'll actually have you hang out there for just a second. As we know, every Medox canister is a different character. Yours is trending a little bit high right now. So we'll just pause and make sure that we can maintain that good Medox canister for the rest of the EVA.
Okay, copy that.
Koichi, I'm passing our anchor hook, steady with trim.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, Koichi, thanks for hanging for a sec. We'll have you stow that cable bag, again with the handrail toward the radiator using 2219 and 2215.
Copy that.
Koichi, I'm just off of your right side.
Okay, copy.
We see you both. Looks like you've got good eyes on for deconfliction.
As you know, my gauntlets are down.
Copy, gauntlets down, Duke.
push here until Koichi's done.
We copy. I like that plan, Duke.
Okay, cable bag is attached to handrail 2219 and 2215 with the handrail towards the radiator.
That's perfect. Good config. With that, you can fair lead on S4 handrail 2219, and we'll have you translate out to your green hook location. This will be outboard toward the S5, S6 interface, and then over the in-frame to the Venus non-radiator side. And just a reminder to take it really nice and slow and easy. We've got that trending high Maddox canister, so just take your time.
I'll do that. Okay, Duke, then I'm going to start translating.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Okay, safety feather is in good config.
Okay, Dina, I'm going to continue upwards.
Copy, Duke. You'll be following the keel side non-radiator edge, following handrail 2219, and continuing outboard to 2231.
For those following along, we're getting high-definition views from the outside of the International Space Station. The two spacewalkers are going to be splitting up for the first of their tasks. Koichi Wakata translating over to the 1B work site. He had a cable bag in tow along the way and stored it in a location so they can easily access it later. There's some materials in there they need for some future work that's later in the timeline. For now, though, Koichi Wakata really only needs his pistol grip tool. The mounting platform on the 1B channel was constructed on a previous EVA and really just needs a little bit of tightening and some last-minute work to finish it up. So he can do that by himself. He's just going to do that for about the first hour of the spacewalk. Once he gets there, that'll really start the clock for him to perform some of that work. In the meantime, you're watching EV2 Nicole Mann, callsign Duke, translating or moving out to the 1A channel. In tow, she's got a strut bag. That's the struts that they're going to actually be building together. Wakata will join Mann later in today's spacewalk. She'll just get a head start and start some of that work here soon.
Okay, copy that.
Dina, I've got a local down. I'm dropping the bag.
Okay, copy that, Duke. And a reminder for Koichi, just a quick caution to minimize loads into the wire ties that are on that MLI there. Should be right nearby handrail 208.
Okay, I see that. Thank you.
Duke, for you, you're stowing that strut bag, as you know, I'm sure, on the outboard non-radiator corner of the IEA. Looking for handrails 2222, 2236, and 2251, but that's also up to your prerogative a little bit. You want the tape towards the mass canister and handrail toward the radiator.
Copy.
Okay, green hook is attached to handrail 2007.
Okay, copy. Green hook is down. With that, you can translate out toward the 1 Bravo mass canister. And reminder that at the 1 Bravo IEA, you'll be crossing to the radiator side. So follow S6 handrail 2032.
Copy, 2032.
Okay, I got one tether down for the bag. I'm releasing my BRT at BRT route.
Copy that, Duke.
Okay, Gina, I'm at 2060 at the 6. And I translate to the outboard to go to the left side of the correct?
Yeah, you'll be crossing to the radiator side, and on the radiator side, heading outboard to the mass canister. Oh, and yes, you will be going to the left side of the mod kit. With that, we'll take a glove, hat, and gauntlet check.
Okay. After I get there, or do I want me to do it now? Gloves are good. Hat is dry.
Copy. Good gloves and hat. And we also see that your gauntlets are
Can
down.
I keep translating?
Yes, you can.
Great. Copy that.
I got 2236 and 2251 for the bag, and I'm going to get one more.
Copy, Duke. And a big picture update for both of you. You're pretty much right on the timeline. And our limiting consumable right now is Medox with a 630 PET.
Copy.
So that's a good report from the ground IV, Zena Cardman. Along the way, the teams continue to monitor the progress through the procedures, as well as something called limiting consumables. The spacesuits that they're wearing has everything they need in terms of life support. It provides the pressure, the air, it provides water, it also provides battery power. Everything is portable as they do this work outside of the International Space Station. Now an hour into today's spacewalk, we planned for 6.5 hours. Everything seems to be on track in terms of the timeline and the limiting consumables. They'll continue to monitor this throughout as it could fluctuate, but right now we're looking good.
Until it's fully installed.
See that I translated up on the 2097 handrail on the canister, and then that's the left side.
That's perfect.
You know, I brought the bag down also on 2227. I'm going to head in to get the address on.
All right, copy, Duke. With that, you can translate inboard to the starboard CETA with 1 and grab that APFR. Koichi, for you, once you're at the left collar bolts, you'll be going outboard under the EGA platform on the broom. Okay, you're there. You'll be opening the MLI around the mid-strut collar to access the collar bolts.
Okay. Okay, I see that. I open the MLI. I can access to both collar bolts.
That's perfect. I've got a great view in your HECA now. Okay, I have PGT settings for you when you're ready.
Okay. I keyed to the handrail on the mid-strut. And I'm ready for PGT setting.
Okay, great. And just a quick reminder here, while you're BRT'd to that mid-strut handrail, minimize normal and torsional loads into the mid-strut. Your PGT settings will be Bravo 7, clockwise 2.
Bravo 7, clockwise 2.
So right now, Koichi Wakata is at the work site of the 1B channel. You can sort of see the struts on the right side of the mast canister. That's taking up most of the center of the frame there. The mounting platform on the 1B channel is constructed. He's got the pistol grip tool, basically a cordless power drill. They have cordless. They have the torque settings programmed into the tool, so they know exactly how much torque to work onto the various parts of the struts. So he's on the left side right now. He opened the multi-layer insulation, the white fabric, to access the bolt on the left side. So he'll be the first part of his task is to work on some of the bolts there.
Vina, what's the approximate turn on the...
Okay, Koichi, you'll be
those two bolts?
driving M29 and M30 to torque. We're expecting about 4 to 6 turns, looking for turn count, torque, and green light.
Copy that. 4 to 6 turns expected.
Then I've arrived at the whip. I'm going to pitch to golf on the WIFX.
Copy that, Duke.
Okay, Zena, I got a green light and a torqued out. And I see torque is 25.5. 25.8, and the revolution is, I counted 3.5 visually, but it says revolution is 029 on the BGT.
Okay, copy 25.8 on the torque and 3.5 turns counted visually. Looking for a green light as well, and to confirm that was M29?
That was the lower side. And you don't see a label here.
Right, Koichi, we're going to talk about the turn count on that one, but while we're doing that, you can go to the other bolts, and same number of turns expected, about 4 to 6, looking for torque and green light as well.
Okay, copy.
So again, the pistol grip tool, that cordless power drill that Koichi Wakata is holding now, has the turn count and the torque settings. He's tightening with a clockwise rotation the different collar bolts on the left part of the mounting platform's strut. He tightened one, and as the ground teams assess that collar bolt settings, he'll be working on the next.
Copy, Golf and knob popped out. You can retrieve the vortex and APFR and stow it on your BRT when you're ready, and translate out to S4.
In work. In work.
Okay, Gina, I tried on the upper side. I visually confirmed the 2 turns, and then it just came up, and I see 2 left. And I don't see.
Koichi, you're coming in a little broken there. Could you repeat your last? I heard 2 turns and did not copy the rest.
Okay, Zena, I visually confirmed the 2 turns on the upper bolt, and I got the 2 lights, low torque, and torque value shows 20.2, and I don't see any turn counts on the PGT.
Copy that, Koichi. We'll have you try that bolt again. Just make sure you're in a good body position for leverage on that PGT, and we'll have you hit the upper bolt one more time.
Okay, copy that.
And I have my ret on the APFR vortex. I'm releasing the vortex.
Copy, Duke.
Okay, visually another a little over 1 turn. I got a green light and torqued out in the torque value 25.5. And the torque out is 1.42.
Okay. Copy 1 additional turn, green light, and 25.5 on the torque. We'll talk about those numbers for just a moment here.
Okay.
Okay, Koichi, we'll have you move on here. We're going to set the PGT to manual ratchet clockwise, and then you'll be driving M29 and 30 until you get 2 MTL pops. So we'll expect several extra turns here. Just keep an eye out and give us a turn count visually.
Copy that. Manual bracket, and that's gonna do the manual on the lower side bolt.
Copy, starting with the lower bolt.
Okay, APFR on my BRT paddle there.
What's pop?
Copy, Duke. That's good news. You can translate out to S4 with 25.
Okay, on the lower bolt, 2 pops, and the bolt turn is approximately 90 degrees. A quarter of a turn.
Okay, copy 1/4 additional turn and 2 pops on the MTL.
That's a good beat.
Okay, Koichi, we're going to talk about that bolt, but meanwhile you can go to the upper bolt and do the same thing in manual ratchet.
Copy that.
So a quick recap, there are 2 bolts on this left strut that Koichi Wakata is working at. We're looking at his helmet camera view. He's using the pistol grip tool to hand tighten each of the bolts. Now that he's done a rotation, just hand tighten them to torque. In the meantime, Nicole Mann is on the other work site. She's preparing and grabbing the materials she needs, including a work restraint, to start constructing the mounting platform. From Koichi Wakata's view, you can see sort of the final product of that mounting platform on the 1B channel. That's what they'll be building on 1A.
I'm using the manual ratchet. It's rotated about 7 turns, and still it does not pop.
Okay, copy half turn. You can keep going if you're able. We want to get 2 MTL pops.
Can I continue the 2 MTL pops?
Affirm. Go to continue. We'll look for 2 MTL pops on the upper one.
Okay, that was 1 pop. Okay, 2 pops complete on the upper bolt.
Okay, copy. 2 pops complete on the upper bolt. Were there any additional turns after that half turn?
Another quarter turn.
Another quarter turn and 2 pops on the upper bolt. Okay, give us just a second to talk about that bolt.
Okay.
And while we give the MER and EVA a moment to talk about that, you can just hang out, take some photos for your awareness. Your net rate is looking really good right now, looking a lot better.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely trending better from before.
Awesome.
Duke, as a reminder for you, before you cross the Sarge, check that your gauntlets are in place.
Okay, my gauntlets are in place. Thank you.
Another intermittent gap in communications from the International Space Station. The teams here in Houston's Mission Control are overseeing the spacewalk for today. 2 spacewalking astronauts, Koichi Wakata and Nicole Mann, working on upgrades to the power channel and some of the prep work needed for the arrival of IROSAs, or International Space Station rollout solar arrays, later this summer. They'll be working on 2 mounting platforms, one on the 1B channel and another on the 1A. Koichi Wakata is already at the 1B channel, tightening some bolts as part of the final steps to make sure that mounting platform is secure. It's expected that that's going to take just the first hour or so of the spacewalk, and he's already getting on a great timeline for getting that work done.
Which is great news. So if you haven't already, you can set your PGT back to motor and stow it. Then close the MLI to cover the power bolts.
Okay, copy that work.
And that note from Zena Cardman here in Mission Control saying that the 2 bolts on the left collar are complete, so he's going to close up the multi-layer insulation, sort of the white fabric that protects it thermally from the vacuum of space and the harshness of the sun, and he'll work on some of the next struts. The next one should be the mid strut that he'll be working on. In the meantime, Nicole Mann is prepping her work site, which is the 1A channel. She's getting some materials she needs. She already stowed the bag that has the the struts inside, and those struts will be what will be used to actually construct the mounting platform on the mast canister of the 1A channel. She got the foot restraint, retrieved it from one of the work sites, and you can sort of see it attached to her right now from this view on the outside of the space station. That foot restraint is going to help to access some of the areas that are needed for actually constructing that mounting platform. She'll be able to ingress or enter that foot restraint and give her the leverage that she needs to actually drive some of the bolts and actually construct the mounting platform. So she's got that in tow, and she's going to be going over to the 1A work site very soon to get it ready while Koichi Wakata continues to finish up the work on the 1B side.
And then I cover is the 30 bands with the background back on the cover bolts.
Okay, copy that, Koichi. We don't have your HECA right now, but we do have your WVS. And so with that, you can translate to the right side cover bolts.
Okay, copy that.
I'm going to put this in with 25 for the clocking of 6.
Good work, Duke. Clocking of 6. I'm tracking golf is already set, and let me know when you're ready for the extension.
Okay.
And of course, we'll be looking for black on black with a good pull test as well.
Right now you're looking at the helmet camera of Duke, NASA astronaut Nicole Mann. She's at the 1A worksite right now, and you see her installing the articulating portable foot restraint. This foot restraint has the ability to have some settings to angle the foot restraint so that it can reach predetermined marks that are needed for the upcoming work to actually install some of the struts. So she's installing that right now. She's going to check the settings on the articulating portable foot restraint, make sure it's really at the right angle so that she can access some of the first bolts and areas that she needs to access for some of the upcoming work.
And a heads up, you guys will be flying over Japan in a couple minutes. Wave hello for us.
Awesome. Thank you.
You know, I got a clocking of 6 with a good total test.
Okay, copy. Good pull twist test and a clocking of 6. We'll also take a black on black check for that color.
I guess black on black.
Okay, copy. And the extension there will be 5 for the WIFX.
You got one side down, Kaliki, or you headed over to the other side?
Yeah, I'm on the right side and just adjusting the TCG now.
Nicely done.
Yeah, how's it going with you?
Good, I got the WIFX in. I'm going to adjust the UPFR, then get started on the triangle.
Thanks.
The two first-time spacewalkers sharing their progress for today.
On the right side, I'm opening the NRI.
Okay, copy. And before you do that, we'll actually take a HECA cycle from both of you. Just one button push on your HECA. And correction, just Koichi.
Copy.
Okay. Okay, it should be on now. Yeah, do you see that?
We copy that, Koichi. It'll probably take us about a minute before we see any change here. But for now, we hear that you are in place. You can open the MLI around the mid-strut collar to access those bolts, M25 and M26.
Okay.
And I'll have BGT settings when you're ready.
Okay, copy that. Okay, is that right?
Again, I started working on the pitch here. I've got the knob is unlocked. And I'm looking for tango. But it is pretty stiff. It's just mentioned.
Copy. That is
Okay,
the
I'm
correct
ready.
setting.
PGT setting.
And copy that it's stiff. Koichi, for you, PGT settings will be Bravo 7, clockwise 2.
Okay, Dina, your cutoff is the Bravo 7, clockwise 2, is that correct?
Affirm, Bravo 7, clockwise 2.
Can you see in my HECA?
We do see your HECA.
Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. Got the black line pointed towards unlock. Then Papa.
Now we have both helmet camera views from Koichi Wakata and Nicole
With
Mann.
the hand on the width extender, and then we are pushing up on it. I don't know if you have any ideas. While you think about that, I'll move on to the WIFX extender.
Copy, Duke. That sounds like a good plan.
Okay, Dina,
And that
the
extension
lower
is
bolt, Dina, I got a lower bolt, green light of DGT 25.4 pounds, 4.14 turns. Question 9 turns.
Okay, Koichi, copy, green light, 25.4 on the torque, and 4 turns visually.
That's correct, and then the PGT shows 4.79 turns.
Copy, Koichi. You can go to M26 now. This is the other bolt. Same deal, we're expecting about 4 to 6 turns.
Copy that. Copy work.
Okay, please, Zena, as we talked about, I'm going to move on to the triangle until Koichi gets here so we can work together on that pitch.
Okay, copy that, Duke. So, if you want to, one other thing you can try is using the boot plate for some extra leverage. But, again, we'll take your expertise here. I'm happy to wait until Koichi gets there. You can also do the rest of the APFR settings if you'd like.
So a quick recap of where we are. We're seeing both the helmet cameras of Koichi Bukata and Duke. On the left, Koichi Bukata working on the mid-strut. There's various components of the mounting platform. He's asking for the settings that are needed on his cordless power drill to drive some of the bolts. On the right side, Duke is preparing the work site for installing a mounting platform on the 1A channel, and she's working on the portable foot restraint. You can see sort of the area where her feet will soon go later in the timeline, making sure that that's in a good configuration. So they're both at 2 different work sites right now.
Visually, it's more than 4.
Okay, copy, that's perfect. About 5 turns. With that, you can set your PGT to manual ratchet clockwise, and you'll be torquing both of those bolts. Looking for any additional turns, report those to us, and 2 MTL pops on each.
See that?
We've got a quick handover coming here.
I'm making progress here with the Egress 8 and the boot plate.
Copy, Duke. Great work.
So same as he did with the left strut, on the mid-strut, Koichi Wakata is first using the pistol grip tool to drive with the tool itself, followed by some manual ratcheting to finalize the torque on each of the bolts. So right now he's working on that mid-strut. And then once again, we're in a handover period, so we're going to temporarily lose some of the video and audio from the space station. Regaining audio first, it seems like we're getting some sounds from the space station.
Back with you guys after a quick handover. Koichi, we were tracking you were in manual ratchet, but have not heard the report yet. And Duke, we're tracking you're working on the APF.
Okay, so Zena, on the lower side bolt, I got 2 pops on the manual ratchet, another quarter turn.
Copy, 2 pops, additional quarter turn on the lower bolt.
And the upper bolt is the same, 2 pops I got, and additional quarter turn.
Okay, copy, 2 pops and an additional quarter turn. That's a good bolt on both of those. So with that, you can set your PGT back to motor and stow it. You can also now translate on the 1 Bravo mod kit.
Copy. And I can translate to 1 Alpha mod kit, right?
Yeah, after this you'll be closing the MLI on the collar bolts, and yes, you can translate on the 1 Bravo mod kit.
Oh, okay, I understand. Copy that.
Duke, if you feel like that APFR is behaving, you can feel free to continue work on it, but we can also have you pause and head to the upper triangle and wait for Koichi to get over there.
Okay, so I've got it in Tango Tango. I'm just trying to get that knob locked. It's about halfway there.
Perfect.
So as we regain video back from the International Space Station.
Is that on? Do you have the heck of you?
Affirm, we've got a heck of you, and copy the MLI.
Okay. The next is the heck of scan from the mounting bracket.
Copy. The MLI over the collar bolts is just out of our view in your HECA right now. So if you can reposition just a smidge, we'll take a look, but we'll also just trust your eyes on whether that's covering the collar bolts.
Do you see the view? Let me know which direction I need to move.
Yeah, you look great there, Koichi. We can have you head to the mounting bracket, check that it's clear of MLI, and you'll probably have an even better view from over there.
Copy that.
You know, I've got a yaw of 12 Lima Foxtrot. That pitch knob is about halfway there, and it's stuck. So when I get to tool, I'll use the tool. But I'm still working on the triangle right now.
Copy that plan, Duke. We like it. So we've got Tango Tango Fox 12. Those are good settings, but the pitch knob is still not back out. And I like the plan to start working on the triangle. We'll come back with the tool. Duke, when you have a moment, we'll take a glove tap and gauntlet check as well. Copy, Gucci.
Okay, so I'm on the mountain bracket. You have a good view?
Checking, Koichi. Koichi, we're taking a look there. It's a little bit dark in your camera view. We'll trust your visual report as well.
Okay, so as far as the MRI, the left side is covered up pretty well, and the right side, I can still a little bit. It's covering the color bolts area, and there's still it's gapped, and I can stitch it down a little firmly down.
Okay, Koichi, we copy all. You're ahead of the timeline right now, so we'll use this time to have you go over and adjust that MLI, just take care of whatever gap you see.
Okay, copy that.
And
Koichi Wakata is still working on the 1B site. He's going to take some time. That white fabric that's on the outside of these struts, just make sure that's nice and tight.
My glove, good.
Duke Nicole Mann on the 1A site working on the portable foot restraint. She's also going to start building the different components of the mounting platform, starting with the upper triangle, the topmost part of the mounting bracket.
You want me to do another hacker scan?
copy, Koichi, checking.
fan already there, and the mounting bracket, and I don't know if you can see the heck of view, but now the MLI is covering.
Copy, Koichi. That's a good view. We're taking a look. Okay, Koichi, we're taking a look, and we see a flap of MLI open on the telescoping end of the strut. If you see that as well, we'll have you go over and see if you can get that to close with the Velcro.
Is that on the right side?
Affirm, Koichi.
Copy that. Inboard.
Engineers on the ground assessing the configuration of the mounting platform where Koichi Wakata is currently working. We're getting a view from his helmet camera. They're looking at the multi-layer insulation, that white fabric. They just really want to make sure it's covered very nicely, and once it's in a good configuration, we'll get confirmation from the ground teams that they're happy with it, and Koichi Wakata will be able to move on to the next task.
Okay, Zina, I don't know if you can see my head view, but I used this integrated wire tie to secure this little bit open MLI. Does that look good to you?
That looks beautiful, Koichi. We really like that. With that, we can have you depart this worksite, and you'll be translating over to 1 Alpha.
Copy that. Translating to 1 Alpha.
That's perfect. You'll head to the IEA via that right lower strut. Minimize translation on the mid strut if you can, and then you'll be going inboard on the S6 IEA. At the inboard edge, cross to the non-radiator side.
For Koichi Wakata, there are 3 main tasks that he needs to accomplish over at the mounting platform. He was working his way basically clockwise around the mounting platform. He started on the left side to work on 2 bolts, then completed the mid-strut bolts. Now he's going to complete his work by tightening the 2 bolts that are on the right side. Of course, checking that multi-layer insulation, that white fabric along the way, making sure that looks good. But once he's done, he'll really proceed into some cleanup steps and then go over to translate to the 1A worksite where Nicole Mann is currently starting to construct some of the components of the mounting bracket over there, and then they'll work on that side together.
Okay, copy that, Duke. You can keep that tethered to the bag, lock out the thread if you need to. You'll be aligning the right upper strut L7 to the mounting bracket right side. Check that the alignment tab is in the groove and the black lines are aligned on the end of the mounting bracket. I'll have PGT settings when you're ready.
So over on the 1A channel, Duke is building the mounting bracket. You can see from this graphic right here what that's going to look like. So that upper part with the sort of pinkish purple part is the upper triangle. She's right now building that first. So she's getting a head start on there, and it's going to attach to what's called a mast canister. That's that greenish bluish soda can looking structure. That's where the legacy solar arrays were originally deployed from, and this is really sort of an adapter to allow the IROSA solar arrays to attach to the mounting bracket. That's that sort of bluish indigo part labeled there on the left, IROSA mounting bracket. So she's just right now building that upper structure.
Koichi, if you can pause right there, you'll be following your safety tether back inboard to the 1 Alpha work site. We see you not quite translating in the right path.
Okay, it looks like it's on busy tether. It's on to my left. That's why I was following it. But you see that?
Yeah, I do see that. So on the inboard edge of the IEA, we would have you cross back over to the non-radiator side. You can also follow the handrails that are in front of you to the other side of the IEA.
Copy that. I'm going to translate here on at the end of the IEA to the non-radiator side.
That's perfect, Koichi. Once you're on the non-radiator side, you can head inboard along the zenith edge. You'll follow S6 handrail 2008, and you'll be picking up your green hook from S6 handrail 2007.
Copy that. Pick up green hook at 2007.
And Duke, just checking, I didn't hear the PGT settings.
The PGT is the Bravo 3 clockwise 2, and just working on M14 here.
Perfect. Okay, we're expecting approximately 4 turns on M13 and M14. This is not to torque yet.
Copy, 4 turns.
Okay, Duke, now I see you.
Okay, I see you out there, Koichi.
All right.
And I got 1 hand turn on 13 and 14, moving on to the PGT for 3 more.
Okay, copy. 1 hand turn on M13 and M14.
Three more turns on M14.
Copy. 3 additional turns on M14. That's 4 total.
Okay, Zena, I picked up the green hook, and I'm translating.
Copy, Koichi. You'll be at the S5, S6 interface following the A-frame nadir, follow handrail 2144, and then on the nadir forward edge, translate to the inboard edge of the 1 Alpha IEA.
Copy.
Okay, Zena, I'm moving on to upper left to center pad.
Copy, Duke. And Duke, those are straps 1 and 2 for the left upper. And I'll have PGT settings, new settings when you're ready.
Hello, Duke.
Hey, Tracy. I've got right on the center triangle. I'm going to work on the center pad now.
Okay, copy.
But if you want, that pitch knob was giving me a hard time.
Pitch knob, okay.
You want to give it a try,
Okay.
or try the tool? All the settings are cool.
Okay, I'll try that.
Thank you.
Right?
No, the pitch is already set, Koichi. It just needs to be locked.
Locked. Okay, copy.
Yeah, good coordination for both of you. Koichi, if you do want to grab the crowfoot tool, that's D-Ring Hotel in the strut bag. You'll need the ratchet wrench as well. Also, Duke, if it would help you to have an extra pair of hands, you can work together on the upper triangle, and then we'll go back to the APFR.
I recommend Koichi work to the APFR since he's right there.
Copy. That sounds good to us. And yeah, Duke, we concur that all of the settings are correct. We just want that pitch knob in the lock position.
And if you need the tool, Koichi, I can hand it to you.
Okay, let me try first without it, and then if it doesn't work, I'll get it.
I got it about halfway there.
Okay.
So to catch up on the procedures for today, Koichi Wakata did tighten some of the bolts on the struts on the 1B side. He's going to go over and help Nicole Mann just for a little bit. They're going to split up the tasks on the 1A side. Nicole Mann, call sign Duke, is going to continue to work on that upper triangle, which is the top section of the full mounting platform that's going to be installed on the 1A mast canister as part of today's spacewalk. In the meantime, Koichi Wakata over on the 1A work site. They're over there together now. Koichi will work on the continue to work on that foot restraint, which Nicole Mann will enter later as part of accessing those different parts of the mounting platform. So the two of them are over on the 1A work site now.
That's 14.
Copy. Additional 3. That's 4 turns total. Thank you.
Okay, I need a tool. It doesn't go all the way. I'll get a tool, Duke.
Yeah, you're going to go with the tool, Koichi?
Yes, I'll get it.
Okay. You see it? You want to put your head there?
Okay.
Houston copies.
Copy, and I got 2 hand turns on M17, ready for PGT settings.
Copy, 2 hand turns on M17. PGT settings are Bravo 1, clockwise 2.
Bravo 1, clockwise 2. And confirm I'm going to torque.
Affirm, you'll be going to torque. We're expecting a little over 6 turns to 9 turns. So that'll be about 4 or 5 to 7 turns additional to the 2 that you got by hand. And checking as well for black line flush.
Okay, this knob is locked on Tango Tango, and it's popped out and can be depressed.
All right, Koichi, the man.
It was really easy with the tool.
That's awesome. Way to go, Koichi.
All right. All right.
All right, Koichi will have you stow that foot tool back in the strap bag, and then you can assist Duke with that upper tackle.
Copy that. Tool is already stowed in the strap bag. I'm going to assist Duke.
You are the man.
Trying. The Duke is the man.
We love it.
With one more and...
Koichi Wakata able to work with that pesky APFR, the portable foot restraint. Now the settings on that portable foot restraint are complete, so he'll join Coleman, call sign Duke, to continue assembling that upper triangle of the mounting platform that they're going to install on the 1A channel.
Then I got 6 more turns. Green light, 12.0 on the torque, back line flush.
Okay, copy. 6 additional turns, black line flush, and good torque. With that, you can release the ret from the right upper strap.
Copy. Okay, right out of the upper strap, Grant is back to the bag. I'm working on pit pin and MLI in the center column.
Copy, Duke.
Koichi, just for your awareness, the triangle is just above your head.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to reconfigure my weight setter and I will be with you.
Houston copies. And Duke, once you've got the MLI installed covering the L2 clevis and the pit pin installed on the grounding block, I'll have some more PGT settings for you.
Okay, Duke.
For your awareness, these washers did come back from all the defense. Put this on, the spring is good.
Duke, we copy.
Duke, would it be helpful if I hold the triangle? When you do that?
Yeah, you stabilize it there. I'll take this pit pin and we can kind of talk about our game plan.
Sounds good. I'm right next to you, to your right, and I'm ready to help.
up, guys. We've got about a minute until a 2-minute LOS. So, Duke, when you're ready, I can give you PGT settings and a couple steps to work on.
Okay, go ahead with the PGT settings.
Bravo 3, clockwise 2.
Bravo 3, clockwise 2. I'm going to do 4 turns on one, torque on the next, and then torque on back on the original.
Yeah, you got it. And just check for black line flush on both of those once you torque them.
Okay, copy.
The sun rising on the International Space Station as Duke gets those pistol grip tool or the cordless power drill settings.
That is actually really good, Koichi. Okay, you put on here is super helpful. Oh, that's great. So that's good. Yeah.
Them working together is making the build of that upper triangle of the mounting platform a little bit easier. They were able to build the handover. We are expecting to lose communication, just video and audio very briefly soon. And right as expected, we're losing video and audio, but we'll be regaining it shortly. We get good communication from the tracking and data relay satellites through an operation such as this. Though this is a larger gap in communication, so you'll notice a lot of folks in the room taking a bio break. The gaps are relatively short through a dynamic operation, but this is one of the longer ones, so it gives the team an opportunity to take a break. We'll get back to the action pretty soon. While we're waiting to regain communication from the International Space Station, let's go over the plan and the work for today. So first of all, what they're doing is they're currently on the 1A channel, the channel that's marked in the yellow there. They are constructing a modification kit for future IROSA solar arrays, International Space Station rollout solar arrays. There are 4 that are installed in the International Space Station so far. That is all of the channels marked in blue, and then the green, the mounting hardware, that mounting platform was complete, but we saw Koichi Wakata tighten some of the bolts on the struts to make sure that that's ready to receive an IROSA later this summer. But the 2 of them now are over on the 1A channel, and they are working on the modification kit. Now, this is really a modification to the original mast canister. That's that light blue, kind of greenish tin can looking structure. That had a legacy solar arrays, and they are building those struts that are gonna house soon the International Space Station rollout solar array on that mounting bracket that you see there in the graphic. So they're building that top portion right now, the upper triangle. That requires a cordless power drill to secure some of the bolts in place. All of these different components, as you see them now, were transported through a bag, and that bag has been transported over to their work site. You can see some of the upper struts, some of those components, they had to take them out. All of them are marked so they know which pieces are which, and right now they are putting them together to build the upper triangle. This is not the first time we've done it, so we do have graphics from previous spacewalks. You can see there on the right, that is a fully constructed modification kit. That's what it looks like. And then here's from a previous spacewalk, 2 spacewalkers actually installing the rollout solar arrays. Once it's installed, it unfolds just like you see there, and it's called a rollout solar array for a reason. It rolls out and covers the bottom portion of the legacy solar arrays, but it generates an incredible amount of power. And so far, 4 have been installed and are performing very well. So what they're doing now is they're creating the modification kit for those another pair of solar arrays that are going to be delivered to the International Space Station later in the summer. We're now regaining video and audio from the International Space Station, so let's go back to the action, where Koichi and Duke are both continuing to work on constructing that modification kit.
Yeah, that's 19 additional turns on M16, green light, 18.3 on the tube, and both bolts of black line flush.
Okay, 19 additional turns, green light, 18.3, and both are black line flush.
Look, Ricky, if I hand you the PCT, there's 2 bolts right in front of you.
Okay, copy that.
13 and 14, those are next.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. And so
Stand by
Bravo
1,
3 clockwise 2.
We're checking on one of those bolts before you pass off that PGT.
Okay, stand by.
Duke, for M15, did you do any hand turns to start?
Yeah, sorry, for M15 I had 2 turns hand start.
2 turns hand start, followed by 19 turns with the PGT.
Good one. Or maybe it's, I think it's
Copy, Duke, we're checking.
okay.
Good to me.
I think that's strap is
Thank you.
over the button. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
I'll get one too.
Yep. I took a few. Oh.
Thanks for your patience, guys. We're chatting about M15.
Okay. Good one.
Awesome.
Okay, Duke, could we have you just check the alignment tab is fully seated in place?
Copy. Just a little my way.
Okay. Yep, sure.
Okay, alignment top is good. The top is engaged. I don't know if you can see in my HECA. You can see I got 2 black line flushes.
Okay, Duke, we've got a great view of that. We concur with everything. If you could do us a favor and just hit M15 one more time with the PGT.
Copy.
just kidding, Duke. We're actually happy with that bolt. Great news. So you can release the ret from the left upper strut.
Okay. I will pass this, switch up out this PGT to you, and I'll work on that ret.
Copy that. So those M13 and 14, right? You got it?
Yeah, the next bolts will be M13 and M14. And PGT settings should be the same.
Okay.
Bravo 3 clockwise 2.
Bravo 3 set, clockwise 2 set.
Perfect.
Upper is released.
Copy, Duke. And Koichi, for you, you'll be driving those approximately an additional 20 turns, looking for torque, good green light, and black line flush on both of those.
Okay, copy.
You mean to move the triangle, Koichi?
It's good.
And I can lock out that PGT might be pulling on you too.
Yeah, okay. It's fine, but could you tilt towards me? Yeah, that's good. Does it say in 13, 14 on the side? Does it say?
It says on the side.
Okay, I see that. Okay. All right. Alpha 2.
Bravo 3.
Excuse me, Bravo 3 and Bravo 3 set with clockwise 2 set. Additional 20 turns. You're done. That's 10. Okay, 19 and a half turns, and got a green light, 18.5 pounds, 90.03 turns.
Okay, 19 and a half turns visually, green light, 18.5 on the torque.
That's good speed, and that was on the M13. I'm going to do M14.
Copy
and
M13
black line flush.
and copy black line flush, going to M14.
Okay. Copy, in work.
From this view of Duke's helmet camera, we can very clearly see the full build of the upper triangle. They've put 2 of the 3 sections of the triangle together. Now, the 2 of them working together to install the final part of that, with Nicole Mann, Duke, able to hold one side of the strut. Koichi Wakata has great access to that final part of the upper strut. That's the right side of the upper triangle.
That's 10. Okay, 18 and a half turns visually confirmed. I got a green light. 18.3 foot-pounds, 18.86 turns.
Okay,
And the black line flash on M14.
got it. 18.5 turns, green light, 18.3 torque, and black line on both M13 and M14.
That's a good read.
Okay, with that, we are happy with those bolts. You can tend the PGT back to the strut bag, And I think at this point, Duke, we'll have you go ahead and ingress the APFR. Koichi, we'll have you go ahead and grab the cables at this point.
Copy.
And work.
Big picture for you both. Right now, our limiting consumable is going to be EV1 Medox, right now looking at about 640, 645 PET. We're just about 20 minutes down on the timeline right now. You guys are doing good work.
Okay.
All right, Tracy, I'm all cleaned up. I'm headed over to the APFR.
Okay. The untangle the PCT.
All right, so with the upper triangle built, Duke has the upper triangle tethered to herself. She'll be able to get into the foot restraint that's already been set up to allow her to access the top part of the mass canister and get ready to install that upper triangle. In the meantime, Koichi Wakata working on the pistol grip tool, making sure that's going to be stowed away. And if you remember, on the way out to the work site, Koichi Wakata had a cable bag in tow and put it off to the side to temporarily stow it. He's going to go ahead and access that cable bag and grab some of the necessary materials needed for continuing to build this mounting platform. Next on the timeline is, now that the upper triangle is built, is to build that right strut. And a correction that the triangle is actually tethered not to Duke.
Okay.
Duke, for you, as a reminder, no sudden movements on the mass canister or mod kit. Limit your lateral loads into the BGA, avoid cyclic loading, and don't impart forces into the mod kit before they're fully installed. And Duke, we also suggest fair leading on S4 handrail 2213. That's the inboard radiator corner of the IEA.
Okay, so Zena, I'm going to grab the front mount bar cable.
Copy, Koichi. That's perfect. Yep, you'll be going to the cable bag, grabbing the 1 alpha IROSA cables with the adjustable equipment tether, and stowing on your BRT.
Copy that.
Okay, Bailey's in place on 2235.
Copy, Duke.
Echo bidding ingressing.
Copy, Duke.
Okay, I'm ready to the 1 Alpha cable bundle, and I'm gonna take it out from the cable bag.
That's perfect, Koichi. You can stow that on your BRT, close the cable bag, and translate to the upper triangle.
See that?
So this is a great shot of some of the work that's being done concurrently. You can see EV-2 Duke with the suit with no stripes is ingressing or entering the portable foot restraint that was set up for her to access some of the parts that are needed to install that upper triangle, which Koichi Wakata has in tow. He went over to that cable bag that he stowed early on as he made his way out to the work site, grabbing some of the cables. So he'll have the upper triangle and the cables in tow. And once Nicole Mann or Duke is inside the portable foot restraint and in a good configuration, they'll do a handoff. So he'll be handing off some of the components that she needs to construct the mounting platform one at a time. And they'll work together to install this mounting platform.
Koichi, can you see my toes here? What's that? Can you give me a look at my toes?
I can see, yeah, okay. Yeah, looks like both sides are in, but the heel, I cannot see the heel. Let me go there.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think my heels are in. I just want to make sure my toes are in right.
Yeah, both are, yeah, left side is in, and the right side is, yeah, you're in the loop.
Okay.
You need to put the heel down a little more. Yeah, a little more down on the heel on the right side.
I feel like my right's not in the toe loop, is it?
Not got in. Push it in, right, further, towards your, further in, keep going. Yeah, you're touching the loop. You can put your heel down, both left and right. Yeah.
Copy. Let me just get reset back up here.
Yeah.
Koichi Wakata has a great view. He's aiding Nicole Mann and guiding her. He's got a better view of where her feet will go inside the portable foot restraint. Behind them, you can see the Earth. The high-definition views from the Heka camera are providing these beautiful views of the southern Atlantic Ocean. They just passed over the eastern border of South America and are heading on a northeastern track towards Africa, but they're over the South Atlantic Ocean right now. And a correction that upper triangle is specifically attached to the strut bag, to the bag where those the upper triangle components actually came from. But it will be Koichi Wakata that will grab it and hand it off to Nicole Mann once she's in position.
See, my left one, I feel like my right one's in.
Yeah, looks like it.
Okay. Left one, I think I need to heel a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, left side a little more, heel down. Position is good.
You can get a great view. The cameras here from the outside of the International Space Station are zoomed in on the portable foot restraint.
Left heel to the outboard. Go down. Yeah, looks like it's almost in.
On the right, Koichi Wakata guiding Duke through the process of getting ingressed or fully integrated into that portable foot restraint.
Stay there, stay there. Right side heel, you come out to the left. Heel to your left. Right to your left, or heel only to your left.
So, which foot?
Right foot. Heel, yeah. And then heel down. Okay, and then stop out, go to the left. Right heel to your left side. That's good, and stay there. And then you're in.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sure. Looking good.
Great work, guys. That was awesome coordination. Copy Ingress aid, Duke.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to attach the cable bundle to the triangle.
That's correct, Koichi. You'll be attaching the free hook of that adjustable that's on the mounting bracket already to the D-ring on the adjustable going to the cable bundle.
Okay, look for it.